Welcome to our storage warehouse for our restaurant, Showman's Pizza Place. We're in the middle of getting everything set up for our grand reopening, and we could use a security guard to watch over our beloved entertainers. The most utmost vigilance is required since they've started moving unexpectedly. But don't worry, we're searching for a solution. We're running out of time though. Hey there, and welcome to Showman'S The Awakening by Iz. Some of you may already be familiar with this game, given it's a much improved iteration / replacement of Phobia The Awakening, using all original characters for the animatronic mascots and humans, I suppose. I covered Phobia's story about 9 months ago, and while it may seem like this game has the same story as its predecessor, Showman'S adds more details throughout the nights that help guide the story a lot better compared to Phobia, and even changes some things that poses new questions that the original didn't. With that said, this video will only reference Phobia in terms of Easter eggs / similarities just for comparison. Nothing that happens in Phobia should be used to reflect what happens in the story of Showman'S. I was honored to have the opportunity to check Showman'S out a few days early and test it, so thank you to Iz again for that. With that said, it's time for Mark to make his mark at the warehouse.
Do you remember? Come find me. I will help you.
As he walked down the hallway, it felt as though the eyes on the shelves and robotic skeletons were watching him. He shuddered and hurried to the office.
Hello, Mark. Are you there? Okay. My name's Matthew, and I'm sure you've been informed that I was going to call you to, help you out with your shift. Welcome to your new overnight job here at our storage warehouse. This place holds things like props, items, supplies, animatronics, and stuff for a small closed-down restaurant chain known as Showman'S Pizza Place. Showman'S Pizza Place opened in 1990, but closed down in 1998. Out of all the animatronics we have stored here, only a handful of them are working good enough after all these years of just sitting around and rotting away. Now, they aren't working the way they should. They say that the animatronics had this advanced technology that made them walk around and interact with people, but it was never used when the restaurant was open. And basically, the animatronics have been reported to be wandering around the warehouse at night. They also have a somewhat odd behavior. It's your job to make sure that these things don't wander outside or break anything, but I also want to warn you that they have wandered into that office before, and you should be careful about that. Our last security guard did find that weird-looking mask that's underneath your desk. The animatronics would wander in and just stare, but they'd leave when he put that thing over his face. I guess it does something with the facial recognition systems, but it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. On the sides of your desk, you've got 2 buttons to turn on the lights in the hallways, and you've also got that tablet for viewing the security cameras. And I'm sure you've noticed that old and unfinished animatronic sitting in front of you. It's been known to be a bit twitchy. If it ever starts to act up, you can give it a hard reset by pulling the lever attached to the box on your desk, which I should also note the power it uses is pretty dangerous, and it may even add more power to the animatronic too. Trust me, you don't want that thing getting overcharged, so just use that as sparingly as possible. I can assure you, as scary as this all sounds, it's likely just a glitch in their systems, and we're working to get it fixed as soon as possible.
So that mainly covers our game mechanics for now, which remain unchanged compared to Phobia. Of course, we still have tapes that we can collect throughout each night that will reveal more information about the animatronics and employees here at the warehouse. Now, throughout the cameras, the major differences in the environments involve some rooms changing to look like proper warehouse spaces, along with a more detailed show stage camera and new original characters for the mascots. However, there are some memories of the past, like this one Easter egg from Jimmy the Elf, who is now replaced by Peggy. Besides that, environmental clues paint the history of Showman'S and its animatronics. A newspaper article regarding Showman'S Pizza Place's bankruptcy in October 1997, where Showman'S Pizza Place had a sudden loss of funding due to a recent undisclosed incident. After a decade, however, the CEO, Jason Baker, is keen to reopen. We also have AFRS blueprints hanging around the warehouse, also known as the Advanced Facial Recognition System, though it's difficult to make out what it says from this distance. Animatronic testing logs scattered throughout the warehouse for several mascots can also be found, which describe success or failure among 3 tests, though it's not described what they're being tested for. In our office, there's a drawing of a kid's 12th birthday party, reminiscent of events in Phobia. There are also drawings on the wall behind you, especially one that says, "I miss you, Mom," with the mother having an angelic halo over their head. On your first night, Johnny and Harry will approach from the hallways, where you'll put on the mask to keep them out. Just make sure not to keep it on for too long. After your first night, you report to Jason Baker, your boss, the CEO of Showman'S Pizza Place.
So, it was only the 2.
Yeah.
Last guy said another was moving around.
Any idea what's going on with them?
No. Well, not exactly. All we know right now is that it probably has something to do with an old and unused system in their programming. We're going to be looking into it some more today. Besides just those 2 going about, was there anything else you noticed or heard?
No.
Well, I suppose that's better than something. Anyway, I won't take up any more of your time. You're free to head back home now. Go get some sleep, and thank you.
Yeah, no problem. See you tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow.
While we may have seen Jason Baker via the tapes in Phobia, we're finally getting a chance to see him in the flesh. A family man, judging by the drawings on the wall of him with his wife and son. Now the people in these drawings resemble the kid and mother drawings, especially the "I miss you, Mom" drawing, which would imply that his wife has passed away, though barely, it's a bit of a loose link. But it's actually confirmed that his wife passed away in the game's extras when reading through Peggy's description, where he stopped working on Peggy the animatronic as a result of his wife's passing. As for the reason why the mascots are moving, that old and unused system, possibly the AFRS, as laid out in the blueprint behind him, is probably the reason why, though he never confirms that this is the system itself. But now that we've collected our first tape, we can go to the tape room where all of our collected tapes can be found. On the table, we can see a clipboard with the animatronic testing results for Captain Cackle on the 22nd of September 2007, the same day you start your shift at Showman'S Pizza Place. While the first test was a success, the second and third tests were failures. This could be when they start to go haywire and wander around on their own, prompting your hiring. A birthday celebration for Grant, and the Showman's band performing Happy Birthday before the recording abruptly ends. A time when these mascots were looked upon fondly by their audience, but we know that'll change in just 2 short years after this performance. The warehouse was either full of arguments or dead silence, but it was always unpredictable. With Night 2's arrival, Matthew warns us to keep an eye on Captain Cackle, who will sometimes leave his room and randomly appears at one of the cameras. We must find him quickly, or else. What is that? 12? 12th birthday. One interesting detail I found was that you can interact with the phone in front of you by entering specific digits. So of course, I did the logical thing when faced with the danger of death via animatronic mascot. Call 911. Unfortunately, they never showed any activity when the police arrived, and as a result, didn't believe you. This is technically the 911 ending, and by the end, you were still found, quote unquote, which is an ominous phrase because we don't know what that means exactly. It implies that something bad happened to Mark, but it's just left a mystery. At the end of Night 2, besides the ominous message just left for you at the 6 a.m. screen, you head on your way out when you hear something following you. Pretty spooky, especially considering that the messages at the beginning of the game were left by the figure as well, who seemed to have taken a special interest in Mark. Now the second tape shows Jason explaining why the mascots are moving in more detail.
I think I know why these machines are behaving so odd. When they were first built some years ago, the team worked the advanced facial recognition system into their programming. The prototype allowed them to see and think, providing state-of-the-art interactions. Ultimately, it never worked the way I wanted. It was too far out of my scope and budget to be practical, so we opted for a cheaper alternative. However, I recently discovered the old system is still active in each animatronic. I think it's bugged. I thought I had it wiped from their mainframes, but now it won't override, and we can't disable it. The animatronics themselves aren't even acting the way they should when it is active. I wonder if any of my employees have malicious intent. Sometimes I wonder if it's him.
Quite the mystery. The AFRS enables the animatronics to move, but it was supposed to be wiped from their mainframe years ago due to its impracticality. Not only that, but even with the system being active, they aren't behaving as intended or expected, which leads to the idea that an employee with malicious intent activated the AFRS and messed with it somehow. He even had someone in mind, but regardless, he can't override the system now. The blueprint describes how the AFRS enables animatronic entertainers to see and interact with guests, and even allows it to move freely on its own. Besides the 3 parts for the AFRS regarding the eyeball, animatronics will have a personality chip that gives it character-specific interactions, which work in tandem with the AFRS. So maybe the problem isn't with the AFRS itself, but with the personality chip and its connection to the AFRS. His hands shook as he fell into a cold sweat. He could feel the presence of something, or someone that he knew. That then leads us to Night 3, where Matthew mentions that one of the animatronics were found sticking out of the vents, which is especially odd since they were never programmed to crawl in the first place. Why would they need to at all? This is an issue since some of the vents lead to your office, but you can seal the vents, albeit one at a time, so make sure to shut the vent that the mascot's closest to. Unfortunately, staff aren't any closer to figuring out how to stop the mascots from moving. Now, one thing that's stuck with me since playing this game is the idea that the animatronics that arrive to your office from the vents cannot be fooled by the mask. Now sure, from a gameplay standpoint, it makes sense. If you could just constantly wear your mask to keep yourself safe, what would you be doing all night? But from a story standpoint, it makes you wonder, what's the exception here? Characters like Showman, Tony, Peggy, and Captain Cackle are all quote-unquote immune to the mask, attacking you whether you wear it or not. Matthew thought that the mask was disrupting the animatronic's AFRS, which didn't make sense to him, and given the fact that it doesn't work with every animatronic that has the AFRS, I'd have to agree with him as well. If it did mess with this facial recognition and deter them, then it should be a cure-all for all the animatronics here, and yet it only works for 2 of them. So why does the mask stop Johnny and Harry specifically? My best guess is that it has something to do with their personality chips. After all, they're the only 2 characters that walk to your office from their starting point, whereas everyone else has a different method of getting to you. So to some degree they have shared behaviors, and that could extend to the masks that we're wearing. Captain Cackle, I think, is an exception, given that he only heads to your office if you don't keep an eye on him, and only goes to one specific room before then heading to yours, so it's not really the same kind of behavior. On this night, if you look in the bottom drawer where the article was, you can now see an animatronic testing log, but it's different and unusual from the others. First, this log was taken on the 19th of September, so a few days before your shift. Second, the animatronic subject the log is about is unknown, with a note saying, "What is it?" Lastly, all 3 tests were failures. I'd have to guess that it's the figure shown in the cutscenes and at the beginning of the game. Either way, we move on to the end of our shift, where we're told, "Don't stop now."
What happened to you?
It seems like we had some sort of panic attack, suggesting we have some history with Showman's Pizza Place. We even go on to say, "What happened to you?" But who exactly? Maybe all of this is connected to that undisclosed incident that got this place bankrupt a decade ago. We now have our 3rd tape.
Look, I don't know if what Jason has in mind is a good idea.
Which one? He's got a lot of dumb ideas already.
Yeah, I heard that if we can't get the robots working soon enough, we're just gonna have to scrap them all. You know, start from scratch, I guess.
You know, if I was him, I would have done that from the start. These things are old as hell. But on the other hand, maybe brand new ones would be a lot of money.
My only concern is that company's been up in deals with recently.
Why?
As a result of the lack of progress regarding the animatronics activity, they may just have to scrap them all. In the meantime, Jason's in discussion with an unknown company, which may have a sketchy past if employees are starting to show concern regarding this deal. A scream broke out in the silent warehouse that day. Something awful happened. Something more than wrong.
Hey, I just want to warn you to not go near any other animatronics right now. Something happened today, Mark. I think the founder is talking with some company that's made similar places before. But these animatronics are going to be scrapped at the end of the week. We can't keep them anymore. Originally, we were trying to just upgrade them technology and design-wise, but it's not gonna happen now. This company is willing to start from scratch with us, thankfully. Apparently they also made some kind of amusement park or something. It's been abandoned for years, but I think they have plans to demolish it around the end of next year. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, just don't make much eye contact with the animatronics. I know that sounds weird, but please trust me on this and try to finish your shift. Things are getting way too dangerous. Please be careful, and good luck.
So it's official. These animatronics are proving to be far more trouble than they're worth, and they've already got another company willing to collaborate with them from scratch. So taking the opportunity and getting rid of these buggy animatronics while they can is probably the best course of action. This company's had some experience with the entertainment industry, given their own theme park, which is set to be demolished after being abandoned for so many years. The only question now is, why are they willing to work with Showman'S from scratch on this? Why did their park get left abandoned? Maybe these are the concerns that the employees have been having all along. Now we can tell that the perpetrator behind the incident that occurred earlier today is Captain Cackle, who's covered in blood, yet hasn't changed in behavior. It's kind of unsettling that they've left him like that, but at the same time, I doubt they have any way of wiping the blood off safely. Also, during my playthrough, I randomly encountered the figure on camera, who can sometimes randomly appear on most of the cameras. Almost there, now that we've reached the end of Night 4. As you make your way to your car, presumably headed to your next shift, you get a call from Jason.
Hello?
Hey, Mark, it's Jason. I forgot to mention this morning, but do not come back in tonight. Things are getting incredibly dangerous, and I'm sorry. I wish we could get to the bottom of it, but we're getting more questions than answers here. Just don't come back tonight, please.
Sure.
Okay, I will call you back soon to discuss a new position for you or something.
Right. Okay.
So, you decide to work anyway, and it isn't certainly for some paycheck, now that your boss explicitly told you not to come in. Why would you willingly put yourself at risk, knowing what the animatronics are capable of? What are you searching for that is so important your own life doesn't compare? Now we have the Night 4 tape, which reveals what Captain Cackle did. Quite gruesome. He didn't stand a chance. I'm surprised the police didn't do anything about this incident, assuming they ever found out about it. His body was lethargic and his head was pounding. Everything was a blur. His eyes felt as though they were pulsing. He had to go back. Night 5. Matthew reams you for going to work despite the dangers.
What the hell, Mark? We told you not to go back there tonight, and I was just called by someone who said that you did? There's no way we are going in there to get you out. Do you even understand how dangerous it is in there? What it's for? wrong with you? Look, I don't know why you've returned, nor why you've kept coming back in the first place, but just do whatever you're trying to do and get the hell out of there. We're going to have those things demolished in the morning, and the same goes for anything that moves in that building. I am not joking when I say that those things are out for blood, Mark. Please stay safe and do not get yourself killed. Good luck in there.
Compelled to return here, despite Matthew and Jason telling you otherwise, the Night 5 message makes it seem like something was drawing you there, perhaps a figure of sorts. By the end of the night, you finally made it home.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for our birthday boy!
So already this is interesting, considering that if you leave the mask on too long, you're also told welcome home. I guess we'll see what happens next night. As the screen fades to black, our fate is left unknown, unless you head to the tape room, where a missing person poster for Mark Ward is posted, last seen on September 25th, 2007. A perfect way to lead into our fifth tape.
Attention to all employees. Tomorrow morning, starting at 6:30 a.m., an assembled team will be heading inside the warehouse and will be demolishing all of the animatronics. This includes the various endoskeletons found throughout the building. Please refrain from going to the warehouse if you have not been called to do so. It is a liability. We appreciate your time working with us, and we apologize for any inconveniences. If anyone is interested in staying with us, we will have jobs available for the upcoming establishment. Thank you.
Less than an hour after our shift, we can hear screams outside of Captain Cackle's room, as someone who's still inside the building, hiding under the table. They were sure to have faced a grisly end like the employee a few nights ago. That's when Jason's warning about the warehouse and the animatronics would come to pass. Based off the wording of the letter, I think the team that was supposed to demolish the animatronics were supposed to be there right after Mark was captured. Maybe that woman was part of the team, which suggests that they didn't have an easy time demolishing them, if they were successful at all. The burnt hallways reeked of ash, Everything had suddenly stopped. Everything had suddenly become so quiet.
What happened here? Mark? Is that you?
Now, when I started Night 6, I was quite surprised, for a number of reasons. I never expected the whole place to be burned down like this. It looks like the demolishment team really tried to destroy the place.
What do I do?
And yet somehow, the animatronics are still lingering. Some of them, anyway, along with some new visitors.
Dear God, what is that thing?
Against his better judgment, I'm sure, Matthew came here in search of Mark. But he's not the same anymore. This time, no mask is needed to fend off your attackers. Mark can be deterred using the flashlight as shown in the previous cutscene. The figure, on the other hand, will constantly be trying to enter your office through the vents, where you must shut them as soon as possible. Once it hits 6 AM, you run towards the exit as quickly as possible.
Hey! Hey! Help! Somebody!
And so Matthew's supposed death ends Showman's The Awakening. At least for the nights, since we have one more tape to go through.
It was Timmy's birthday. Timmy's 12th birthday. April 12th. 1996. There were balloons, cake, pizza, presents. His best friends. It was a party made just for him.
A tragic 12th birthday for Timmy and his best friends, at the hands of the figure. I should also mention that Timmy's physical description matches that of Jason's son, down to the red and black striped shirt, implying that Jason's son is Timmy, who is dead. Also, you get a special visitor right after watching this tape. They went... they went... How did I know? Now, the figure is an interesting character for quite a few reasons. For one, they never attack Mark throughout the game. At times you'll see them watching the cameras, aware that you're watching. But that's the extent of it. Even during that one cutscene, he just stares at you for a bit before wandering back into darkness. Even the dialogue from the figure to Mark is odd. Do you remember? Come find me. I will help you. Welcome home. My best theory on why the figure is fixated with Mark is that he witnessed those tragic events somehow a decade ago, but ended up repressing the memories. It would explain the figure's dialogue, trying to help him remember, plus the panic attack that he had when staring at the Johnny plushie. But none of this explains why the figure is doing this in the first place, nor who might be responsible for the activation of the AFRS and the animatronic's hostility. We already know that the figure has been active and violent for about a decade now. There's nothing suggesting that he was disabled and then re-enabled, but none of this explains why the figure is doing this in the first place, nor who might be responsible for the activation of the AFRS and the animatronic's hostility. We don't even know who the figure is in relation to the company, because the figure is never mentioned by any one of the employees. Not Matthew. Matthew doesn't even recognize the thing in the vent. So where has it been this whole time? Maybe in that one camera that we couldn't see? We don't even know why the mask seems to transform Mark if he wears it too long, because the mask ending shows that the animatronics didn't do anything special to it. You can get that ending on night 1, meaning that the mask itself is affecting Mark. Maybe it has something to do psychologically with Mark, but we don't know why. Not to mention, that mask bears a eerie resemblance to the figure's own mask, and the mask actually makes Mark grin and have like gaping eyes almost. It's kind of unsettling when you look at his player model. It's like he becomes a different person. And the whole dialogue, Welcome Home, makes it seem as though the mask lets Mark become who he quote-unquote really is, maybe. But maybe, hopefully, all of these questions will be answered in future games, should they come to pass. But that concludes the story of Showman'S The Awakening, as much as I was able to figure out. One more little secret before we conclude here. If you enter the numbers 1996 into the phone, you can hear the screams of what I imagine are the children that were there during Timmy's 12th birthday. Honestly, there might be other victims in that call as well, because it doesn't sound like they're just children screaming. But of course, with all that said, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Lets me know you're enjoying the content. I want to see more of it. Great job to Iz. Can't wait to see what comes in the future, whether that's more Showman stuff or not regardless. The game's in the description below as always. If you want to see more story breakdowns, there will be a playlist in the description below. Well, that said, I'll see you in another video. Take care.